Today we will discuss about single phase induction motors, and this class is important for 5th sem diploma electrical students. So this subject is utilization of electrical energy and traction. We will today discuss about the single phase induction motors. These motors, how they have been utilized in electrical fields. So let us start. So as we have discussed, in single phase induction motors are not self-starting and some external means are used for starting it. So students, single phase induction motors are never self-starting. We have to make arrangement so as to make them start. So the various methods to produce starting torque are as below. So first method is split phase method. In this method, an additional winding known as auxiliary winding having low inductive reactance but connected in series with high resistance R is used in parallel to the main winding but displaced 90 degree from the winding in space. The diagram is as shown in the figure. I will show you, but let us first cover the theory part. The main winding is a low resistance and high inductance winding. As soon as both these windings, which form stator, are connected across the single phase supply, current start flowing. Now auxiliary winding, being high resistance, has the current I flowing through it, which is almost in phase with the applied voltage. Why it is almost in phase? Because it is having more resistance as compared to inductance, so it is acting like a resistance. Whereas the current Im flowing through the main winding is much inductive or lags behind the voltage by approximately 90 degree. Because in case of your inductive loads, the current taken by them lags by approximately 90 degree. For purely inductive loads, it will lag behind 90 degree, exactly 90 degree. So this current I and Im differ in phase angle by 90 degree or approximately 90 degree. They produce a rotating magnetic field. As a result, torque is developed. So this torque is between your stator and the rotor and it starts running. As soon the motor picks up a speed near about 80%, auxiliary winding gets disconnected by means of a centrifugal switch and the motor starts running as a single phase induction motor without any auxiliary winding. The auxiliary winding, being highly resistive, ought to be disconnected from the circuit, telling which a lot of amount of losses would continue to take place. The split phase motor runs at almost constant speed even at varying load, but where moderate torque is required and is used in fans, blowers, duplicating machines, refrigerators, etc. They are available in sizes from 120 or 1 by 20 to 1 by 30 HP with speeds ranging from 3450 to 1725 RPM. So that is around 1140 RPM and 865 RPM. Now this is the diagram how this connection is made so as to make the rotor self rotating. You can see students, there is a single phase supply fed to the single phase induction motor. So we have introduced a auxiliary winding, which is this one, and this is the main winding. So this auxiliary winding is connected with a centrifugal switch, and this centrifugal switch disconnects this auxiliary winding when the speed reaches almost 80% of the full load speed. Now there is a vector diagram also, you can check it out. So this is the applied voltage and the current Im or the magnetizing current is taken. So from here we know that by introducing a auxiliary winding and by creating a phase displacement nearly about 90 degree, we can produce a torque, and that's the result, the rotor starts rotating. Now let us discuss about capacitor starting. This type of starting differs from the previous method in a way that a capacitor is connected in series with the auxiliary winding instead of resistance. So earlier we were using a resistance which was connected in series with the auxiliary winding, but here we will use a capacitor instead of a resistor. Now the diagram is as in your screen. There is a single phase supply. We have introduced a auxiliary winding which has been connected in series with a capacitor as well as your centrifugal switch. Now during starting only, this auxiliary winding will draw current, and after the motor attains a speed nearly 80% of the rated speed, this centrifugal switch will disconnect it from the supply. As a result, this motor will run by the help of only main winding. The figure shows the speed control of a shaded pole motor by tapped reactance coil connected in series with the motor to obtain three speeds on the single phase motor. Now, a tapped auto transformer may be connected in series with the motor to obtain many speeds. Even on the winding may be tapped to have many speeds on the motor. In case of capacitor start and capacitor run motors, the winding connection is maybe L-shaped or T-shaped. So this is the diagram so that we can achieve different speeds. Now speed control. Let us discuss the speed control. It is very important as far as industries are concerned, because in industries you will require speed controlling devices. Now while selecting a motor for a particular drive, due attention has to be given to the required speed variation. Different industries drives require variation of speed between different limits. Control for an industrial drive depends upon the nature of work being carried out. Under this section, the speed control of different type of motor are as discussed. So the first type is for AC motors. So in this type, the DC motors and its torque are given by the relation N is proportional to V minus Ia Ra divided by phi. Again we can relate torque with phi into Ia, where V is the terminal voltage, Ia is the armature current, Ra is the resistance of armature current, phi is equal to flux per pole. This equation suggests that there can be the following methods of controlling the speed of DC motor. So from the equation we got an idea that by controlling the field flux we can control the speed, that is phi. So is it relevant? The first method is by controlling the flux. Let me point it out also. So by controlling this phi we can control the speed. Next, by controlling the resistance in the armature circuit also the speed can be adjusted, and lastly by varying the applied voltage also the speed can be adjusted. Now field control method. The base or rated speed of a motor is that which is obtained with rated applied voltage to the armature and rated current flowing through the field current. Since the field flux can be reduced by reducing some resistance in the field circuit, therefore speed above normal can be obtained by this method. Now in case of shunt motors, when a variable resistance R is connected in series with the shunt field, as in the diagram, the shunt field is reduced and hence the flux phi is reduced. So students, this is the diagram for your shunt field motors. So by having a field regulator we can control the amount of flux first the flux, the amount of flux can be controlled. As a result, the speed can be controlled. Consequently, the motor runs at a higher speed than the normal speed. The amount of increase in the speed depends upon the value of the variable resistance. There is a limit to the maximum speed obtainable with this method because poor commutation at weaker flux, a ratio of maximum to minimum speed is 6 is to 1 is fairly common. So we can uh, change the speed or control the speed ranging from 6 is to 1 ratio. Now let us discuss for series motor now. The variation of flux can be brought out by any one of the following methods. So the first method is field diverters. In this method, a variable resistance R is connected in parallel with the series field. Its effect is that it diverts the path of the line current. A part of this current flows through the diverter and current flowing through the series field winding is reduced. Consequently, the speed of the motor is reduced. Now, tapped field control. In this method, the number of turns of the series field winding can be changed by short circuiting a part of its, since flux produced by the winding depends upon the ampere turn as the number of turns are reduced. Therefore, the speed of the motor is reduced or increased. Now, armature control method. In this method, the speed below the normal can be obtained by inserting external resistance in the armature circuit. This can be employed in all the three types of DC motors. So, we will discuss in case of shunt motor first. Now, in case of shunt motors, flux is constant when applied terminal voltage and shunt field resistance are constant. Therefore, speed of motor is directly proportional to induced EMF E. The value of E depends upon the drop in the armature circuit. When a variable resistance is connected in series with the armature as shown in the diagram, the induced EMF is reduced and hence the speed. The decrease in speed depends upon the value of resistance. This method is neither economical nor efficient as a large amount of power is wasted in the controlled circuits. Now students will discuss about series motor. In this case also resistance is connected in series with the armature as in the diagram. If the current drawn by the motor is constant, then flux is constant and the speed depends upon the induced EMF. When the addition of variable resistance, induced EMF reduces, hence the speed also reduced. By changing the resistance, the speed below the normal can be obtained, but this method is not economical. So this here is the diagram. So there is RSH, there is also a variable resistance which is called as your armature control method. For series field, we control the amount of current by the help of a additional resistance. Now in our next class we will discuss about AC motors and frequency control. So by controlling frequency also we can control the speed. So these things will be discussed in your next class. Thank you students for watching.